with it.
Hey, Carmel. What's happening, man? Mancave 25, quarter of a century of man caves.
Right. This is
Oh,
the silver, right? 25 is silver.
this is the silver, and that means I think we only have 2,600 to go to catch up to Rogan.
Okay.
That's it.
Easy.
And
Easy.
dedicate 3 hours of our life to sit down and have meaningless discussions that anyway, I don't think they're meaningless. I actually like Joe Rogan. I told you I met him when I was in what's the name of that ski town? Not
Aspen.
Vail, Aspen. So we went to Aspen a couple years ago for Christmas. Nothing like it. The cheapest, I'm not kidding you. Look, nothing was available. So we found one room, and it was more like a boarding house. It wasn't like a hotel kind of a thing.
On a
450 a night. I thought I was going to get a decent room, but it was like stanky, old, crusty. Like we didn't want to be in the room at all.
Wow.
But we were there and walking the streets, got to see the likes of Mariah Carey. 100, and I'm not exaggerating, 150 to 200 jets at the airport. They were lined all the way down the side of the airport because the parking for the jets was too much.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody was in private and enjoying their home, their castle, or whatever. And Joe Rogan's coming walking down the street. Now, I don't want to out him, but I'm going to. The girl he looked like he was with just looks remarkably different than the one online called his wife. And
Well, okay. What
you
if
know,
he has,
they could have been friends. They could have been all
he could
kinds
have
of
two.
things. Yeah, that's true. 2 wives. Why not 3?
Why not?
Yeah. And she was quite interesting. Anyway, she looked like one of those handlers. You know, she was all intrigued about what we do, and there's a quick 10-minute conversation, not 10-minute, 2-minute, and he had to go. I just was not that important. Anyway,
Could have been a handler. That's also very common.
yeah, 100%. So I'm intrigued by the show topic or the show title, the American Diet. Let us explain, and it's a remarkable conversation to have because it seems like the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, which is why they combine the two, I have no idea. But it seems like they are anti-health. And when you take a look at the FDA and their recommended diet online, it is a 100% guarantee path to all kinds of disease, and you'll be on insulin, and you know, in no time at all. It's sugar, 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 and like literally, I think at the time that I looked at it, Fruit Loops was on it as a part of the healthy, nutritious morning breakfast.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the fact food and drug are in one department is kind of interesting. But we know this pyramid that's been shown us since we were, in elementary school. It's never been really the epitome of health. Neither has the balanced breakfast shown to us during cartoons and kid shows ever been remotely healthy. It was like a bowl of whatever horrible cereal, a glass of orange juice, which had never
Choco Puffs.
Right. Cocoa Puffs, a glass of orange juice, then a slice of toast. I mean, this is the absolute diabetic field day about to happen if you eat that thing every single day. I mean, like.
Right. Now, everything that I've heard, Carmel, is the worst thing that you could do is start your day off with sugar. Yet, people go to the donut shop and line up. They used to it used to be like, and I'm not exaggerating. Remember when they first went public, Krispy Kremes? It was like a 250,000 long line to get a donut from Krispy Kremes.
Yeah,
and all it is sugar and whatever. And yeah, don't get me wrong, it was good. But to drive down the street and to see people here's what blows my mind: to see people lined up at a hot dog stand, to see people lined up at McDonald's religiously, not even understanding what they do to make their French fries, not understanding what they do to make their meat, and now we have a government talking about maybe not the existing one, but the pharmaceuticals for sure, talking about introducing vaccines inside of our food, with or without our consent. Now, I want to share something with you, Carmel, because this to me was a mind blower. I started seeing this word on organic food called biologique.
Mm-hmm.
And so I looked up the word, and there's no definition in the English dictionary for biologique. And so the only place I found it was online in a French dictionary. First definition was organic. The second definition was biological weapons. And so I really looked at the definition, and could it really be saying, or is it giving me an example of how to use the word? And no, it was using the word in a sentence, but the definition was weapons, biological weapons. And so I started asking myself, I started looking at California grown fruits like the cuties and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And some of those companies would have the word organic on it, and then it would say biologique. So here's where it really upset me, because why would a California, not a France, a California based company be adding a word that means organic, but saying the word organic on the actual packaging? Why would they add a word nobody knows about, nobody understands, can't define in English, and to just reaffirm that it means organic? So they're saying organic. Does that make any sense?
No.
And why would a California company be using a French word? And so I made a little TikTok video, 3 minutes, 65,000 people viewed it in 24 hours, 48 hours, and it was taken down. And I'm pretty smart when it comes to making videos, meaning I'm not like a professional, but what I mean by smart is I've lost a YouTube channel before, so I'm really cautious about what I say or don't say. And I'm cautious about tying myself to something instead of presenting something. But all I was doing in this video was presenting literally what it said online. I literally showed the screen and what it said online. And I said, you guys need to understand something. It's like what we think of as food is really, or organic is really not. Let me give you an example of Vaughn's local store. I'm going to sue them. I have enough video content and enough communications to file a lawsuit against them. Right above their organic section, it says no chemicals ever, organic, no pesticides. And I watched the spray come out. I noticed the spray, and I said to the grocer, I said, "What is this?" He said, "Funny you should ask." And I said, "Can you tell me?" He said, "You're the first person that's ever asked." And I said, "Really?" And I said, "What is it?" And he said, "I'd rather show you." I said, "Okay." And so we went into the back. I walked through the middle, all videoed. And I walked up to where it's being pumped from, and it's a chemical-based company and a chemical-based product, and it's for preservatives, and to keep it fresh looking longer. And so I went to the store manager, told the store manager. She went to corporate. Corporate said, "No, it's organic." They lied to the store manager. Store manager said it's organic, and I said, "You go tell me one thing on that list of chemicals that's organic," because I took a picture of the whole list of chemicals. So the bottom line was, even when you go to a grocery and you're trying to buy what you believe is good, you're drinking, in some respects, depending on where you go, you might be drinking or eating chemicals. And then what is the word organic? And how many people are cheating out there on the farm,
So here's the deal. As you know, you and I are very big on words, and we understand the definition and meaning of words can really lead people down the right or wrong direction. So let's break this down, because the word organic literally just means coming from a living organism, right? So essentially, everything came from something living. Now, if it's been modified, made, into something else, combined with something else to become something toxic or synthetic or something, anything that's synthetic or artificial had to come from something that was living. Everything, no matter what it is, everything came from the ground, from our surroundings. Then it's been modified, plastics, metals, all that stuff, right? So at the end of the day, a company can say, yeah, it's organic. It came from a living organism. It's not now. And when you consume it, it's not organic. Now, what's going to happen is we're going to get a new tier, but I feel like it's going to happen that now raw becomes the new organic. But now something is raw. I have none touched, unfiltered, nothing untouched. Because organic is such a it's a crap word now. It doesn't mean what it used to mean back, in the 80s and 90s. Because someone can easily say, yeah, this mixture of chemicals or minerals or whatever are organic. Because like in apple seeds, there's arsenic. So if I pull out arsenic out of the apple seed, it's organic. Now, you shouldn't be drinking it or eating it, but it's technically organic. Poison from any plant is technically organic.
Somebody told me about that element is don't eat an apple seed because it's arsenic, and I ended up looking a little deeper into that one, and it's just like our title let us explain. Remember, they really came against eggs, and it's high cholesterol. You should reduce your egg content, and you should have a low cholesterol. And then you find out later that cholesterol has everything to do with a healthy heart, a healthy brain, and that the new norm of cholesterol is above 220, which is considered high. Mm-hmm. A lot of doctors are completely against the element of, when you have somebody that has cholesterol level of 120 or, which is what is recommended by every MD, almost every MD, you're almost certain to get cancer, and you don't have a lot of these abilities to be able to fight off the cancer because you don't have a system or a structure of cholesterol protecting the walls and the membranes and helping. It's just like bees. They want to get rid of bees, but bees are essential to farms. Bees are essential to everything that's living that we have. They want to get rid of, think about it. When they first attacked eggs, and they come to find out eggs, like I eat eggs every single day, and it does amazing things for my brain.
Yep.
I'm able to think much crisper, much sharper, much longer. I can work longer hours. I've never been worried about cholesterol, and here's why. Every time somebody says something from a professional level, I used to believe it. Now I think there's got to be a play on this that I don't understand, and I need to consider the play. And so somebody told me that high cholesterol is really bad for you, but the people from the Himalayan mountains, their diets were atrocious because they were eating a lot of fats, and their cholesterol levels were in the 2,000 to 3,000 range. But those guys would hike up and down mountains all day long, and their bodies were thin. They were in better shape than anybody. They were taking 2 and 3 foot steps all day long, and they had zero heart disease. And so it told me two things: no stress, and they were in shape, healthy. Yeah. And yet still with 2,000 to 3,000 registered cholesterol levels. And so I'm thinking to myself, okay, so we're being lied to. It's all stress. And this is why they are allowed to program us on TV, propagandize us, lie to us, and it's 100% lawful and legal for them according to a 2016 Supreme Court ruling. So when you look at the ability to propagandize us, coupled with what we're being delivered for food, what we're being taught about food, it really causes me to question every single thing that comes out of anybody's mouth, especially after the pandemic. I don't trust any doctors, any medical. I'm like Dana White. Dana White
Mm-hmm.
said he will never ever go to a mainstream doctor again for medical advice over his body, ever.
No,
And I don't
look,
blame him.
we know, based on what happened with the pandemic and everything, that a lot of these hospitals and doctors were in on the take, and yeah, everything now that we hear, we should consider what the play is. The is there now? I also don't want to get into the whole correlation versus causation and always drawing a connection to everything, but let's just look at it this way. Is there a correlation between the rise of how should I say this,
Carefully.
angst against toxic masculinity, against any kind of manliness whatsoever, and the uh, unavailability now of products that would increase and help a man to keep a healthy testosterone level, namely meats and eggs. Um, I'm just going to put it out there like that. It's because cholesterol in science is the building block of all hormones, namely testosterone. So if you're going to tell me, okay, a high cholesterol level is going to lead to heart failure, interesting. Yet this same cholesterol is the building block for all the hormones that help me keep my testosterone up. Well, if I was eating a healthy diet all the way around, my body would regulate itself because the heart disease never came from cholesterol. It came from processed foods. Then your body wasn't able to process the cholesterol. Then you had a heart issue. It's not from eggs. I mean, there's animals that eat eggs all day long, never have any heart issues. There's the people in the Himalayas. There's people who grew up on nothing but eggs, never had any heart issues. And I myself eat 3 to 6 every day. I won't go back. I absolutely refuse to hear anyone tell me, yeah, it's going to cause high cholesterol. Because there was a point in time where our whole country ate eggs, ate steaks, ate butter, no issues. Now, all of
Lots of
a
butter,
sudden,
lots of steak,
lots of steak,
lots
lots
of
of
eggs.
now, not then. Now we've seen a spike and a raise in heart issues, Alzheimer's, dementia, everything caused by the lack of those things, and an increase of plant-based foods, other foods, not processed foods, not the stuff we used to eat. So,
And that's a really good point, Carmel. It's like the introduction of plant-based foods and this surge of vegan, vegetarian. There's breatharian. There's all kinds of
breatharian.
different living on the air alone, literally. I don't want to get into it. Look it up. The or aeritarian, whatever's. But I grew up on a largely, like my mom would give me a steak a month as a teenager, and I was starving for meat. But I was eating a lot of eggs. I was drinking 1 gallon of whole milk a day, non-homogenized milk, the creamy kind. So there was some things my mom got right and some things my mom got wrong. I had at least 7 to 10 apples a day. I had, but when I got to be a teenager and I could afford things on my own, I found Carl's Jr.'s double Western bacon cheeseburger.
Mm,
Bro, every
mm,
day I was gobbling up one and a half of those, but I was on a bike, you know, riding every day 30 to 50 miles, and I was shredded. But I always felt like I was, not weak, but I was missing protein.
sure.
And I started as an adult, incorporating protein into my diet. And I noticed, Carmel, that when I mix protein with carbs is when you hit the wall, and you start slowing down with breads, with pastas. You really, you lose energy. But
Yeah.
when I do protein and or dairy alone and just consume that, and then maybe a few hours later just do carbs, I notice my body is completely behaving different than the mixing of the two. I also notice that drinking water with food makes it very difficult sometimes to digest food properly. And so it's another thing I'm starting to consider in my diet as I'm eating my food. I'm just not going to drink any water for about 30 minutes until after the food has been consumed. But I've been on predominantly a meat and dairy diet. Now, everybody says dairy's bad for you. And those are people that are lactose intolerant. Those are people that get stuffed up and they start draining, they start sneezing, they start coughing, they got phlegm. And I want to figure that out for my partner in life because she goes through that. Me, I can again drink unlimited milk, yogurt, cheeses, and nothing.
Yeah.
Like I don't get any effect from it. But what I'm allowing for my body to do, because I'm not doing fruits and vegetables right now. I'm just doing that. And what I'm noticing is, I really wish I could go to ketosis, get to that 6 to 10 days mark. But I'm doing one cheat day, and that's starting the whole process over again. But I notice I'm slimming down because my body is burning the fat on my body versus the fat in my stomach because it has a replenishing fat coming through, a healthy fat coming through. And it's not going after the food here. It's going after the food on the outside of the body. So I'm noticing my face is trimming up. I'm noticing my stomach is trimming up. And I'm not losing much weight because I'm working out. So I'm doing muscle mass again. But carnivore diet, Carmel. What
I like it.
that we lived on for thousands of years.
I like it. I like it a
You
lot.
know?
And I know some people will say that if you get on any regimen that you will lose weight, you will feel better because you're cutting out processed foods. So I've done both. I did a vegan diet just for fun years ago, and yeah, I felt the initial cleanse energy, but I never felt the energy
Powerful.
that I feel powerful. Yeah, I never felt powerful. It didn't feel like weak, but I didn't feel powerful like I did when I did the carnivore diet. Um, Both gave me the cleanse energy, which you will get. And anyone listening to this, if you fast from anything, you will eventually get a rush of energy because your body's push out toxins that you've been eating from toxic foods. But the carnivore diet, I felt 1,000 times better. It's not like I have to have any kind of like agenda against vegans, because that's another thing people get. Oh, you just don't like the vegan lifestyle. I don't care, honestly. If you want to just eat plant-based cheeses and whatever. The thing that cracks me up is you don't see carnivore diets that try to fake plant food. You only see plant food trying to fake carnivore diets. Like, why are you using jackfruit to represent pulled pork?
Yeah. Why are you trying to pull protein out of plants?
Yeah,
What's your purpose
just
there?
go eat your jackfruit. Like, it's, you don't have to. Why are
Right.
you trying to mimic
Right.
meat and cheese?
That's the scary thing, Carmel, is they're coming out with 3D printers printing food now.
Yeah,
To,
I've seen, and I think I've eaten some of this because I remember
oh, that's disgusting.
buying some ground beef, and I think it was, I'll leave the name out. But
Walmart.
no, it wasn't Walmart. It was a store I wouldn't expect this from, and the meat cooked in a way that looked like layers, and I'm like, that doesn't look normal.
Did it taste normal?
I mean, once you mix it up and stuff like spaghetti, or if you're making tacos, you don't
Or you
really
still ate it?
well, yeah, because I wasn't
Because
expecting.
you weren't sure. You weren't sure.
Wasn't sure. Now I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I'm not going back there. I only buy my meats from,
What store was that?
I want to say it was Costco.
That's scary because there's a lot of stuff back. I used to eat salmon. I don't eat salmon anymore because of the worms. But then I found out that worms are in everything. And so I still love sushi. So I try to go to a higher grade sushi place. But what I do when I get home is I take wormwood, and I also take a bunch of drops of food grade hydrogen peroxide in water. And the second you dump that in your system, anything that's not supposed to be there is going to be running out the back end.
And here's what's interesting, though, is that if worms or fruit flies or any insect we normally would be like, disgusted by, is messing with your food, it's probably normal. It's probably natural, honestly. The fake stuff, bugs don't mess with. That's what's really interesting. They've said if you put out fake food.
That's true. That's true. But even at Costco before, I was doing the farm-based salmon. I didn't really understand what the word farm-based is. Like 15 years ago, I didn't understand what farm meant. I thought it was, oh, great. They're growing it. It's under control. It's under a sustained environment. It's healthy. And I'm like, no.
Have you been to a fish farm before?
It's disgusting.
It's weird. It's very weird.
I've seen them online. I haven't been to one. No.
Yeah. There's one up going to a Mammoth or Bishop somewhere, right up to the right. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Fish are in the dark, just kind of swimming around, no eyes. Yeah.
Can't see anything.
Nah, it's odd. It's very odd.
You know what's funny is today we had to get some work done in the house, and it really smells on the other side of the house because of some paint. So we got the cats locked up in the bedroom. And I feel bad. I feel like they're in prison. I mean, it's like, so I can't. You're reminding me of like how we deal with processed foods. It's like even meat is going through. Like I don't eat pig anymore. I won't eat pork anymore. Just from some of the studies that I've read about how nasty pork is from a standpoint of worms and parasites, and so I don't want to touch it. I only eat high ditch grass-fed beef, bison, elk, deer, lamb. I do eat lamb shanks. I eat ground everything. I'll eat ground everything. I cook my ground meat thoroughly. I don't cook my steaks thoroughly. I do a medium rare on the steaks. But my meat comes from a place where there's no added anything, grass-fed. Even the way that they butcher the animals is very different and less painful to watch per se. But that's my next thing is I'm going to buy a whole cow and for the freezer, and I'm going to buy a cow for my backyard. Just let them graze, let them walk up and down the hill, and feed them some hay, and have myself a little buddy, because all that poo-poo that comes out of that back end, I'm going to throw in a big fertilizer pit and get that thing work in my garden, because I'm currently buying cow dung, that's been sitting around for 6 months and put in a bag, so it's not all hot and steamy once it hits your plants. I mean,
right.
You're not supposed to put fresh dung, fresh anything on your plants. You're supposed to, because it'll burn them. I didn't know this, but so down the street, I have liquid gold. It's called horse manure, and I went up to the neighbors and I said, "Can we get it?" They said, "You can come and pick it up anytime you want." And so we'll go and we'll fill a trash can full. We'll bring it up. We throw it in a pit. We throw all of our other stuff in a pit. We just mix it up with a bunch of leaves and branches and food, old food waste from inside the house, and we're making our own fertilizer. And you just wait around and see how it works. But I'm learning this whole farming game, Carmel. And I mean, we grew a lot this last year, so much so we couldn't eat it all. We were giving a lot away, but it was all vegetables and fruits. So I have this big backyard full of vegetables and fruits. And now I'm like on this path of carnivore. And I'm not putting down vegetables and fruit. My family and I grew up on it. But I'm going to tell you right now, my mom, 35 years vegetarian, is now putting meat in her body every day to sustain her weight because she can't keep weight on. And so we looked at her diet of what she was eating. I'm like, Mom, this is like 1,000 calories.
Yeah.
You're going to lose weight. You need proteins. You need more carbs. You need to put more into your body. And she eats these little tiny salads and she gets full, but that's 300 calories.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Don't get me wrong. I love fruits and vegetables. And in some cases, like getting back to you said about water earlier, there's a lot of stories and people coming out talking about that actual hydration comes from fruit and vegetables. Now, the right fruits and vegetables, because when you're drinking water, you're drinking H2O, but then fruits give you H3O. So like to really get, like, water is supposed to be a supplement, but people think, oh, I'm getting hydrated by drinking water. No, you get hydrated by eating water-dense fruits and vegetables, watermelon, cucumbers, leafy vegetables, cabbage, kale, stuff like that. So I used to always wonder, like, if you drink so much water.
I noticed you said watermelon first.
Because it's literally in the name. No other reason.
It's not a black thing?
Well, what's black mean?
I don't know. Can I get some chicken too?
You guys started that, not us.
I know, man. That was purely racism. But you know,
we just
fried chicken and watermelon is good, dude.
We just did it better. That's all. You guys showed us how to do it, and we took it up a notch. Now you know who's taking it up another notch is the Koreans. Korean fried chicken is crazy.
Off the chain.
Oh my God, so good.
You've been to Roscoe's, right?
Oh, several times.
So who would have thought that, chicken and waffles with syrup all over it? Who would have thought that?
I don't know.
Just straight up delicious.
It's amazing. Now, there's a place better than Roscoe's I will take you to very soon called Fixin's.
Can I do blackface?
I wish you would. I wish you would come into Fixin's in blackface.
Bro, I better have my fighting gloves on.
What's funny is there's as many folks your color as my color in Fixin's.
We're one color, Carmel. We're all shades of tan.
We're all just different hues of humans.
Hues of human means monster, dude. I don't like being called a monster.
Who said it means monster?
I need you to take that back.
What? You're a hue of a man.
That's what human means is monster.
According to who?
The freaking Black's Law. Oh,
there we go. Here we go.
I'm just saying. That's not how I feel about it, but I'm just saying there's things that are in Black's Law that, why are men and women registered under the Department of Agriculture?
Because they're male and female.
What does that mean?
That means they're animals. Male and females. Animals have male and females. Men and women are.
So we are dogs. Like you join the military, you get what kind of tags?
You get dog tags.
Because you are a servant.
If your child gets stolen, it's called a kidnapping. Kids are goats.
Kids are goats.
I always wondered if an adult got snatched, why they don't call it adult napping.
Somebody called me out on that. Like, why do you call this guy's children kids? And I said, well, look at him, he's a beast. And then everybody started roaring. Anyway, I think from a topic standpoint, it's kind of a distressing topic because a lot of people are trying to figure out how we're going to eat in the future, and you got Bill Gates and different people buying up all of our land, our agricultural land. You got snobs burning, and you got snobs in California keeping our farmers from growing. You've got amazingly big chicken farms, big agriculture, big meat farms. Remember a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, 4,000, 5,000 cows were just dead, butchered.
Last year was about 6 million chickens.
Millions and millions of chickens. We have egg shortages. I just bought 36 eggs an hour and a half ago from a store because my chickens don't give me enough.
I bought a couple of dozen yesterday. $8 a dozen.
I know. These were 18 packs, $12.99. I got the pasteurized, grass-fed, organic, whatever. Who knows? The
Now they're
good
adding
thing
so
about
many
it is
labels to
they're the
this thing.
same color yolk as my color yolk of the ones that my eggs produce, so I know they're good eggs.
There's a
And that's what
restaurant. There's a restaurant
that's
in Seal Beach called Sunnyside Cafe. They use local eggs from, I think, Chino Ranch. And I'm telling you, their omelets, something else. Like when you actually get a real egg and you taste it, like this is different. I remember the first time I went there, I'm like, what's up with these? And they're super yellow.
is that a
Very.
black only establishment?
It is not. Actually,
Is
it
it?
might be.
When you say yellow, do you mean orange or yellow? Because mine are kind of almost orange.
Almost orange. Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost orange.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm looking forward to Friday night hanging out with you, buddy. We're gonna
Yes,
have
sir.
some fun.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. We got a lot of food,
Okay.
and
No
very,
GMO.
very little of it is good for us.
Which is fine. Every now and then it's cool. I realize when I've been really like clean on my eating, when I do eat crazy, I don't notice anything. Like I've waken up some nights after just eating crazy, even at the cigar bar or whatever. If we had like a couple of those cubanos and some wings, I wake up just fine. It's because I've been naturally eating like a better diet, and so when you go and eat pizza one night, whatever, you're cool. But if you're doing that all the time, like you're not gonna survive. Like there's this, and I almost feel like what the FDA, big pharma, and all this, and this is all speculation for entertainment purposes only, is a way to keep us unhealthy because it's a moneymaker. So if I have you go to any restaurant and spend $4 or $5 or $10 because you don't have much time because you're working your 9 to 5, because that's a whole nother industry, a whole nother topic. You got to hurry up and get something to eat. You probably had the same thing for lunch. Then you don't probably work out. Then you probably take some medication because your heart's not working right, because it's not about the cholesterol, but all the processed food you're eating. It's just a big cycle. So the more they get people used to eating now GMO foods, overly hyper ultra processed foods, and taking more medication, or now Ozempic because you're overweight, people are going to start dying off extra fast.
Oh, they already are.
It's in the food.
They already are. We have a new number one unknown cause of death in the world, which is unknown. And everybody, it's completely known. It's completely understood. Obviously, the medical community is in charge of that particular death, and they had to put unknown cause. So we might want to find the new definition of the word unknown and determine that for ourselves. But Carmel, I feel a little cornered. I got a bunch of food that I'm going to have to eat in the event of, they put vaccines inside of food. But the problem that I'm kind of cornered and I feel like I'm being attacked is they're not doing full disclosure on any of this stuff anymore. Just like the word biologique, that's not a full disclosure. What the heck is in my cuties? What the heck is in my, the food I'm buying that says biologique? And why are we using a French word on an English grown English company fruit? It just doesn't make sense. And so I'm really upset about this and trying to figure out how do I, even in my own backyard, Carmel, I just took pictures again. And this isn't a conspiracy. This is not just a well-known fact. But they're spraying barium, aluminum, strontium, and other things that are now nanoparticulate. So we're breathing in this stuff, and like we are literally a part of the Internet of Things now, which is why we got to have a whole nother conversation about what they're now finding out about nicotine and nicotine patches. Nicotine patches are fighting and killing nanotech in the body. Like really? I literally have been, oh yeah. They're showing it under a microscope what the nicotine patches do to the nanotech, and it just eats it up and dissolves it.
Wow.
So these doctors that have discovered this, they're like saying, I'm never going to get off nicotine. And it kind of makes sense because my mom-in-law is the only one in family. She did all the vaccines, and she's the only one in the family that has no problems. And she's a smoker at 81, right? And her kids are taking the hits. Unhealthy, not productive. I don't want to say not productive, just unhealthy. Don't feel good. Legs get bloated. Diabetes. Within 2 months of the V. Quintuple bypass. Never any recorded heart blockages before. Always feeling slow. Now has a pacemaker and has a defibrillator kind of a device on top of right here under the chest. Still feeling slow. Still on 5, 6, 7 prescription drugs. I'm like, I went over to the house. I'm like, bro, you're not getting better, and you're still believing the narrative. At what point do you stop the path you're taking, detox, get whatever's in your system out, and start trying to live your life again? Because it's kind of sad. They're so jacked up. The desire to even get off the couch is hard.
Yeah.
The desire to go to work is hard. Can't pick up what they used to be able to pick up with their hands. And so that's the difference. It's like we're going to watch a generation. They called it 3 or 4 years ago. They said within the next 3 to 5 years, you're going to watch 100 million people die. I hope not.
Well, look, it's there's so many statistics, and we can go on and pulling this stuff left and right. But not only is myocarditis up crazy numbers in the past 10, 15 years, autism is up crazy. I think autism went
heart disease
from 1 every 130,000 to I think now it's 1 out of every 36. It's crazy. So autism is up crazy. Myocarditis is up crazy. Dementia is up crazy. Alzheimer's, and these are not like gradual. These are huge spikes. Is anyone going to stop and think, why? Or start to change and understand, like, okay, if these things for the past 20 years have been going up this way, what's the correlation? What's the other thing that would point out that is it our food? Because guess what? Plant-based foods is up for the past 20 years. $50 billion. It's crazy how much money diabetes. Yes.
The numbers of adults living with diabetes has surpassed 800 million. So the FDA and their recommended food for the world, for the United States, is not working. It's not working. This is straight out of Geneva from the World Health Organization. Why does 800 million people, Carmel, have diabetes? It's crazy. It's crazy.
So we're talking about almost 1 billion people, right? And most of these people they're not in third world countries, which is interesting. Like a lot of these are in modernized, top shelf, highest GDP countries where you're seeing all these issues. Because as you mentioned earlier, there's people in the middle of like nowhere in Tibet or like parts of Africa eating what would be considered by an unhealthy diet. People living to be 150 years old with like 8% body fat, able to walk and run 50 miles at 90 years old. Why? Yet you go to Pacoima, you go to some living facilities, people that are 65 years old can't even move. There's tons of video of people just, if you ever watch the news, just people walking down the strip. Half of them are visibly obese. Visibly. How was this a thing?
Bro, look, I know I'm a little overweight. I got onto a plane the other day and I had to sit my butt all the way to the very back of the chair and bring that lever all the way to the very end so I can get it around my stomach. And, I'm not that bad, but nevertheless, I went to the very end of the marker on the plane and it barely went click. And then I had my shirt over it because it was uncomfortable with the shirt under it. And I hadn't even had the stewardess lady. She leaned in. She's like, "Can you please put your seatbelt on?" I had to lift up my shirt and see it's there. Anyway, check this one out. This is one of the sadder things because heart disease is affecting so many people. Leading cause of death worldwide, accounting for 17.9 million deaths, and that's 6 years ago. I mean, I don't even know what it is today. I didn't even have a minute to look at it. But the reason why these stats are old and the reason why Google isn't updating it is because it's gone up tenfold since the pandemic started. Heart disease, tenfold. Same thing with the military. Military is experiencing things they've never experienced before, Carmel, where military members are dying like crazy and heart disease is through the roof. And, you know, let's look at how many professional, let's type this up. How many professional athletes have died?
Oh, yeah.
And just in the last few years, you know, I read numbers. This isn't true. This is 143 deaths in 2023. That's not accurate. I heard there's well over 1,000.
Oh yeah, I've heard. Yeah, way higher than that.
Worldwide athletes that have died due to whatever. And a lot of them are, you know, they were pushing the COVID product themselves, and they're literally falling over while they're playing soccer. Literally, you know, having a major incident on the field because their body could not handle it. Anybody that I know that's gone through this is now their heart is 50, 60, 40, 70% of what it used to be. It's not the same.
No.
So whatever they did, whatever they created, it's literally like what the same symptoms that HIV does. It deteriorates the body's ability for immunity and to build its own immunity. So whatever it is that they're doing is crushing the whole world behind the scenes, and the doctors are still able to put on the death certificates whatever they want to put. And that's instead of getting to a core reason why their heart is failing, instead of it's the perfect murder.
Right. Exactly.
It's the perfect murder.
And I think a lot of what our diet is, and, you know, emphasis on the word DIE, is an ability to kill us slowly. And in some ways quickly. I mean, like getting back to Alzheimer's and dementia, like the brain, the actual shell around the nerves is made up of the same building blocks that eggs make up. So a lot of our elderly folks are having issues with their brain because the nerve endings and the casing of the nerves is deteriorating because they're just not eating enough protein. They're not getting enough real fats to protect the brain. We didn't have these issues 40, 50 years ago. Some of the stuff wasn't even talked about. Like my mom even said the other day, she said, someone said she's ADHD because she can't focus and this and that. And I said, what were you before it was called ADHD? Because 20, 30 years ago, they wouldn't have had a term for my mom not being able to stay on topic or being very talkative. Right now, there's a term. Now we have a diagnosis around it. She's ADHD. Now you have to take something for that. I'm like, yeah, why is this a thing? Why do you need to take something for that?
Why were they giving Ritalin? Ritalin.
Yeah.
Crack. The equivalent of crack cocaine to a child.
Versus just having them go outside and play some more. Like, I've always looked at, like, why, when you had recess and lunch, those were the most exciting times of school, right? Not sitting in and learning about, the 50 states or the 50 capitals of those states. Useful information, don't get me wrong. But literally.
Really? Is it? That's a whole nother topic, bro.
You should kind of.
I don't think, I honestly, I sat back and I looked at all of the stuff, and even though the classes that I loved, history and the stuff that I loved learning, useless. The only thing that history taught me was we were lied to.
Yeah.
And it also taught me that I need to think differently about ways to not repeat that. And just to steer clear of that. And so we have excellent examples of history, but I don't believe the narrative of what happened in World War II. But we have excellent examples of history that I'm trying to avoid repeating. And I think everybody's been hook, line, and sinker, just like they were with Hitler. Everybody's been hook, line, and sinkered into this current administration. And I think this current administration, are on a fast track to have an embedded chip in everybody's head. I mean, look at who is heading Doge. He's going to be a superhero, whether people like it or not. A lot of people are going to still hate him. But the guy owns a company called Neuralink, and he wants to put a chip in everybody's head. Now all they need to do is control the money, and that's it. Once the money's controlled, if you don't have your money on a hard wallet, and you're on a system of, getting a paycheck from the government for doing work for the government, which is really where it's coming to, I think that we got a serious problem on hand.
But again, it comes down to consent. If people consent to it, what can you do? Like that's the thing I've tried to teach people, even in my limited knowledge about all this. And before I even introduce them to what you do or anything else, is like, what are you consenting to? Like everything you're allowing them to do is because you said it was okay. Like now, I'm not saying it's easy to see that or figure that out, but a lot of it's going to start with you just pulling back and looking at what you're signing up for, right? Like your phone, your emails, your licenses, all the stuff, you are saying that it is okay to have access to me through these things. Now, it makes it a lot easier to live our life using these things, but that's where they get us, is convenience. Convenience is the way they get consent every single time. If people understand that, it would
change. Say that, and it's so clear. It's like, can you imagine not having any electricity for a period of time? Can you imagine being required to go down and get the chip just to have electricity, just to have food, just to, those, which is why people will be walking into FEMA camps. I mean, those are the things that are being discussed right now. As a matter of fact, many of and they're just podcasters, but these are guys, ex-military, ex-armed forces, different things, people that I listen to, and they're all saying the number one thing that we're facing is an EMP attack. And I know it's off of the subject matter of what we're talking about, but the reality is, how do you make your own food? How do you cook food? You're living in the dark. How do you protect your food? And that's a whole nother level of conversation. And that's and I got food in my backyard. I got food, in places where I need to have food. And it's like, there's a lot of people that aren't even thinking about buying food. They're not even registering they need to store food.
No. And that's part of the issue. And that's what, to me, is what true capitalism is that people are banking on the ignorance of millions. And at the end of the day, like, people just want their basic met, and they'll do whatever it takes to get it. So like you said, I need to go down and get a chip to make sure my lights stay on, to make sure I'm getting my money, Social Security, whatever these things, the benefits of being the citizen, I'm going to do it. But if you told someone that, do you understand that what you're telling the government is, I'm not able to take care of myself, so I need you to do it for me, the government's going to say, okay, in order to have those things, here's what we need from you. And then again, comes consent.
And everybody's on this dictator from Ukraine, who's and I get it. The guy is a raging actor / homo / got problems / on the hook. His wife ran out of the country with hundreds of millions of dollars, supposedly. I don't believe that number, but and I don't know how he's married, but nevertheless, we just saw a show the other day, and our quote unquote president wants to take the mineral rights for his nation for however many hundreds of years until they've paid back their debt to us, or maybe it's in perpetuity. I have no idea. And so those are like, who gives this guy the deal or the right as a president to sell off his nation, and what comes in the ground from all the people, the stockholders? Who gives them the right? And it's so we always, Carmelo, we're watching the show right now, and you know, it's coming to this point where every fast food's going to have mRNA, grocery stores are going to have mRNA, built-in vaccines, and I still want to be able to go out and eat. How am I going to be able to do that? I can't trust anything. I can't go. You know, I'm going to have to figure out a way to kill the nanotech and sweat it out and hope for the best. But they're getting better at creating, just like the Pfizer president said, we give you a little pill, you swallow it, it'll give us all the data about whether you've been vaccinated or not, what you've got in your body, whether you're regulating, whether you're this, that. It'll tell them everything about us.
Mm-hmm.
How does that not perish inside of our body? You know what I mean?
We're taking in forever chemicals all the time. The one thing that I have, I guess not hope, but I guess I'm trusting, is that not those folks aren't doing these things. So they got to go out to eat somewhere. Where are they going? They got to be shopping somewhere. Where are they shopping? I know they're not growing their own food.
So the billionaires, if you follow, people in the military are moving to Colorado. The billionaires are moving to Alaska, Hawaii, remote islands, different things like that. It's not just that. It's what are they expecting to happen? Why are they building bunkers that are hundreds of millions of dollars?
Are you caught up on the show Paradise yet?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you see why I said to watch it now?
Yeah.
Okay. This is what I'm talking about. Like, they're telling the story. It's the script is out there. So folks, if
that's not such a bad place to live either.
No.
You know, I mean, so what? There was a dictator. I'm like thinking to myself, brother, you got a great job in a great community. You know, always there's going to be somebody bucking for position and control.
Always.
Always.
Always. I just want to be left alone. Leave me alone.
I just want to be left alone. Let me just garden. I don't like gardening though. I just like eating that food.
So you gotta find someone to garden. But it's supposed to be good for you, grounding and getting your hands in the dirt.
Bro, look, I'm grounding right now. Here's
but you need to get on the
my
real
light indicator. Hold on. Oh, you can't see it.
You need to get in the real ground as well. You need to touch.
I do. I like standing in grass, bro. Every day, 10 minutes, I'm standing in grass, watching my kitties run around and chasing them down. But I honestly, I think there's more to be said here, but I think we're nailing it in that we can't trust what the narratives are that we've been explained. And I think that the people, just as parting words for people, you may poo-poo the carnivore diet, but what's happening with people on the carnivore diet is their skin rash, their skin issues, their MS issues, their unknown cause issues are all going away on the carnivore diet. All of them.
Yeah.
It's like people that could not scrape the scabs off of their body quick enough, heal quick enough, looked horrific after 3, 4, 5, 6 months on a carnivore diet. Their entire body's cleaned out. And so a good meat, a good dairy, milk, cheese, eggs, meaning something that comes from an animal, is the way to live, according to a lot of people. I'm not 100% behind it. I've been on it for about 9 or 10 days. I had one cheat day. I wish I didn't. But I'm starting to find myself having more energy. I'm starting to find myself trimming down, and I'm just going to keep going. But it's a very expensive diet.
That's the other part about it, is the expense.
It's a very expensive diet.
I think it's on purpose. Because again, it's a system, it's a cycle. Like, there are studies that show that Alzheimer's has been reversed by the introduction of a fatty molecule that helps in mice. They've been showing in mice that this fatty molecule helps to reverse the process. Fatty molecule, what does that sound a lot like? So this again, it goes back to the
Meat fat.
If I'm eating fatty foods, good fats, and I'm reversing the process of Alzheimer's, dementia, whatever, now I don't need that prescription. So big pharma is getting hurt, the FDA is getting hurt, all these food processing industries is getting hurt because now I'm treating my health on my own. They don't want to lose a customer. They don't want to lose patients. They need these people to be getting these medications and taking these drugs and eating that same food and keeping in this cycle. The eggs going away, and it's funny. I heard someone say this, that their father, who's elderly, because they were out of eggs, went ahead and bought the carton of egg whites or fake eggs. I'm like, exactly. Now you don't have the eggs you want, so you're just going to buy the carton of eggs. You're going to get used to that, and ultimately, then you just, this is fine. I'll just buy this. No, this is exactly what they want you to get used to, is the convenience of that carton, and you're just not going to even think about real eggs anymore. It's like people, like, I don't have any issue against oat milk or almond milk. In some ways, I do like it, but if you had a glass of real old regular milk, it's delicious.
It's good.
It's really good.
It's good.
So again, I don't have any issues with oat milk. In some dishes you make, oat milk is actually better. But good old, or like half and half, or like I had heavy whipping cream in my coffee the other day. It's great. But it's so hard to find a lot of times, and it's expensive. Like, why? Why are the healthy things
$10 for a little thing of heavy whipping cream? Yeah,
it's so weird.
Right. So I just bought a tri-tip, $54 for one tri-tip. And it lasted 2 meals. It's $25 a meal, and so we really have to be considering. But it's just like, I did buy a bunch of meat last year, and I did put it in the freezer, and now I'm pulling it out, trying to partition it off, scrape it off, and make some hanger steaks. But you buy a half a cow or a whole cow, that means you're committed to eating a lot of meat that year, and you're going to be pulling meat out of the freezer all the time. And so if you do cheat on a carnivore diet, that's where it's bad, because you might be eating some processed foods with it. You might not be digesting the protein with the carbs. And I know I'm not saying it right, but I just know I don't feel good when I do protein and carbs together. My body starts shutting down. I want to take a nap in 2 or 3 hours.
Yep.
And I'm tired of it, Carmel. I'm tired of living unhealthy. And I'm 295 pounds, and it's not like I look fat. Some people would say I do, but I could lose easily 30, 40 pounds and feel great and be energized. And so, what's going to do that is meat, and a lot of it, because it keeps the muscle. It allows for me to burn my body's fat and take on good nutritious fats, develops a good cholesterol level, keeps me full. And there's nothing like, I'm looking at recipes right now for egg pancakes, egg waffles,
okay,
using egg flour, different things like that. And instead of syrup, using butter, melted butter with some whipping cream. Oh yeah, bro. I'm all about it. Anyway, any closing comments, my brother?
Yeah, there's a meme that people have seen out there. I think I probably mentioned this before, that says the oldest, the strongest, and the biggest animals eat plants. I remember the first time I saw this meme, it showed a gorilla, it showed an elephant, it showed a turtle. And I thought to myself, let me actually do some research. So the oldest living animal is not a turtle. It's a Greenland shark. Outlives a turtle by 200 years. Meat eater. Largest animal in the world is not an elephant. It's a blue whale. Also eats meat. Strongest animal is not a gorilla. Okay. Stronger than a gorilla is actually tigers, bears, and the pound for pound strongest animal is a dung beetle. And we know what dung beetles eat. So Don't
Right.
believe every meme you see.
Don't believe every meme you see. Anyway, brother, I don't really like having these conversations, but it's always fun having them with you. Looking forward to seeing you on Friday, and let's maybe consider doing one or two episodes a week. I know we're trying to nail it down that Thursday evening, but maybe doing a 15-minute segment on an important topic that people need to hear. Those are the ones that really get out there quickly because people, they want to hear it, and we can jam a quick conversation down to 15 minutes, but at least get 2 episodes done a week. But we're at 25. We're season 2. We're going to move into season 3. When does season 3 start, by the way? I don't know.
I don't know. Good question.
And for the record, His Advocates TV's on Android, Apple, Amazon, Google, LG, Roku, Samsung. Search for His Advocates TV channel. I know on LG it's his space advocates. There's little nuances you got to play with to make sure that you're getting it right. But Carmel and we're on the I forget what channel, but just look for Manjo's season 1, season 2. We've been doing this for 2 or 3 years now. But we're just starting to have some fun and just have dialogues. But every Thursday, 6 p.m., we're shooting out on His Advocates TV, YouTube, and every one of those TVs listed there that I just showed you. So we look forward to seeing you guys. Thank you once again, Carmel.
Always.
I appreciate it. I will see you Friday night, and we're going to have a good time on a cheat night.
Let's do it.
See you, bro.
All right, y'all.